welcome one and all to this afternoon's AY program. It is a privilege to be here with you today, and I trust that as we sit and listen to today's program, we will all be informed and that we will go away better equipped in our daily lives. At this time, Sister Ethelyn Hastings will offer a word of prayer on our behalf.
Good afternoon, church. Let's stand for prayer, please. Most gracious and loving Father, this afternoon as we come before you, we are asking you, Father, to forgive us of our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. We want to thank you for this morning services, dear God, and for this afternoon. We pray that you will bless us. And as we sit and listen to the program this afternoon, we pray that you will be a means to those of us who are here and those who are watching worldwide. We pray, dear God, that you will bless us. And if it is your will that you should be here for next Sabbath, we ask you, we give you thanks and praise. Now I bring before you the sick and the suffering ones. Dear Father, you know who they is, where they are. At this moment, we bring them before you, asking you please to touch them with your healing hand, that they will recover and come back to worship with you. For those who mourn the loss of a loved one, we are asking you please to draw them under your wings, dear God, that they will feel a touch of you and to remember you, that you're the same God yesterday, today, and forever. So I'm asking you today to be with the proceeding of this afternoon and hasten the footsteps of those who come in and carry us back home safely, we ask in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much, Sister Ethelyn. This afternoon, we'll be having a panel discussion, and our members would be Sister Marisha Simon, Brother Tyrone Heskey, Brother Lenny Josiah, and our host, Brother Leonard Josiah. Please sit back and relax and enjoy. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everybody. So happy that you have joined us here this afternoon at the Old Road Seventh-day Adventist Church. Very timely time for you to be here with us, worshiping with us this afternoon at our AY hour. This afternoon's discourse or meeting promises to be a very interesting one, promises to be great, promises to be very informative. And I trust and hope that as you are here with us this afternoon, that you can leave here being more informed. So happy that we are joined with those individuals who are logged on via Zoom today. So happy that you have joined us from way overseas. Some individuals from as far as North America, you're joined us here this afternoon. And as we go on this afternoon, feel free to send us your questions, etc. And we'll be so happy to feed them this afternoon. We have a few panelists here this afternoon. We have Brother Lenny Josiah. I call him Daddy. There's Sister Marisha Simon and Brother Heskey, former individuals who are here this afternoon to be with us. And they are our panelists here this afternoon. The topic that we'll be discussing is something rather interesting. It's all about the modern discussion of sex. The operative word is modern. So I'm going to be asking you to, as we look at the many different topics of this discussion this afternoon, that you be respectful, that we first be respectful to many different views on a number of topics, and be respectful to their answers, etc., and share information if you can. One of the things that I'm going to ask of you strongly also is that because we are streaming, that we refrain from calling people's names. If you want to give an example, speak about the example, but not the individual's names. Okay? Thank you so much. And as we go on this afternoon, feel free to be a part of our discourse. Telling our children about sex. What should I tell my children about sex? When should I tell them about sex, and how detailed should I get? Well, sex education is paramount in our social lives today. And in most Western societies, sex education is part of the school's curriculum. In many others, it is non-existent. Many parents abdicate their responsibilities in this critical area of parenting. This leaves youngsters to learn from whispering and snickering companions at a much younger age than their parents may imagine. While telling our children may seem to be the most desirable method, we most powerfully model the spousal relationship, the respect, the values in which we engage, which our spouses send to our children a most powerful message. Children quickly learn the disdain communicated by the rolling of their eyes of powerful struggle of controlling people locked in matrimony. Sexuality, when expressed within a relationship of love, mutual support, nurture, and caring, rises to the level that God intended it to be. So this afternoon, we're going to go straight right on into our discourse. And I will ask you, first and foremost, let's first have our discussion amongst us, our panelists. Let's look about this whole aspect of sex education. How do you see sex education? What is sex education to you? Marisha?
Sex education encapsulates any terminology that has to do with sex. It has to do with more than the sexual activity itself. It goes with the responsibilities that comes with engaging in sexual activity. It has to do with age of consent, also reproduction. It also involves, I can't remember anymore, but it goes further than just the sexual activity. So it's very broad. So when we look at sexual education, it has to do with anything that's related to sex in itself.
Very good. And I think you basically have encapsulated it. But Nick, you want to strengthen that point in any way?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. To me, sex education, is teaching the child what sex entails.
Yeah.
Normally, we leave our children, and when they get in trouble, we scorn them. We get upset with them. Well, I think the education should start at home. When we were young, sex education wasn't taught to the girls. it was a no-go. Children, mothers never sit down with their children and say, listen, you're a young girl. As you grow up, your hormones are going to change. You're going to meet a gentleman or a boy, and you're going to be inflamed with love. You know, that passion's going to burn within you. Yes. But you have to contain that passion. We don't teach them these things. And then when they get in trouble, we get upset. And I think that's very wrong. You know, in England, sex education is taught to the white children earlier than to the blacks, because mothers will not sit with their daughters and say, listen, you know, this is what's going to happen. You're looking lovely, you know, you're looking all beefed up, and boys are out there, but you got to be strong, baby. You know, and mothers, like myself, I'm not ashamed to say, when my boys was growing up, I went and bought them contraception and say, listen, and they used to laugh. I said, but Dad, why are you giving? I said, hey, you're going to meet a young girl and you're going to be in trouble. So therefore, be safe. Then you'll come home and say, Dad, well, I got a baby outside. And I can say, well, I'm glad you've got a baby because I'm a granddad, but are you now going to look after the young girl? Because that's the issue. If you don't teach them when this happened, they'll be in trouble, and then they're left to bring home the bundle to their mom. Yeah. And his mom's going to say, what, you make your bed, you lie on it. But Mommy never told me how to make my bed. Yeah. To provide, to get away from this problem.
Yeah. Great, I understand. Brother Nick, you have given us a whole mouthful right there. Brother Lenny? I know that you are itching to respond right there. You want to respond?
I have to really respond.
Yes.
Because when we think of this thing, sex education, remember that first we have to establish our boundaries. Sex was ordained by God, not by man.
True.
And if sex is ordained by God, remember that Satan is going to lurk at the feet of God's people. We can't evade that thought. We are not talking this afternoon here to children alone. We are talking likewise to big people. And before you can ever become a big person, you must realize that you have to pass to the stage of a young person. God says, well, what is right from what is wrong. And he sets the boundary there. We must know where the right begins and where the wrong begins. When God created Adam and Eve, we know first that Adam first was created, but God in his foresight know that at some point of time Adam is going to need somebody. And so we know the story quite well, and so God took from Adam's side a rib, and there he formed Eve. And after Eve was formed, God said to them, this is the establishing point now. This is bones of my bones and flesh of my flesh, and they shall be one. So when you're a child, you must realize you must begin to look for the time when you become one with your spouse. So we have to establish that first, one. God did not intend that when you're still a child, you should be able to sin before you become a married person. God did not intend that to be. I want to ask a question here now. Before a boy marries to a girl, or when he sees a girl, what should they be? How should they look upon each other? As spouse, or just boyfriend or girlfriend, or just child? Are they spouses yet?
No, they're not. They're not spouses.
All right, they're not spouses.
They're not spouses.
When do they actually become a spouse of the other one?
You can go ahead and give the answer.
You can only become a spouse of the other one when you are linked together in marriage. Before marriage, you are not friends. I don't know if you all understand that. You're not friends. You're not spouses yet. Because you're not intimately joined together according to God said, how God said. You're only boyfriend and girlfriend. So you have to really stay clear of that. But when you become The spouse is when you're linked together, when you become one with God in God's way. I don't know if we are there pleased with that.
Yeah, sure, brother. And in the interest of time, I think you have encapsulated it in a way that you're actually saying that sex education also involves a spiritual attribute that the parents ought to bestow or instill within the child as they grow. Now, so in that context, panelists, are we saying that sex education is a necessity within our church?
Of course it is.
Of course
Definitely.
it is. Of course it is.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But we cannot just leave it to the church to instill within the children the education of sex.
Okay,
because
great.
I understand what Brother Lenny is saying, but when you're out there, like I've said, when these young girls, I was a young lad, and when you see a girl and she looks at you and you look at her, and that flame touch you, you could be in the house of the God, in the Lord. When you're burning with that passion, there's nothing like it. It draws you away, and if you're not strong,
yes,
you get caught up.
Talk to us, Brother Nick.
You get caught up.
Yes.
And we all know it because we are all grown-ups. We've all met someone we've loved.
Great stuff.
Mom will say, I warned you, don't. And you'll say, yes, Mom. And as Mom back is turned, you're in town with that girl.
Yeah.
And where you was? I was with my friend playing football, Mom. Yeah, I was on the park. But you was with her. Because it no matter, unless you yourself, you've grown up with your dad in the house. You weren't a rebel. But when you're outside, it's a hard thing.
That's right.
Love.
That's right.
When you're inflamed with love,
yes,
you forsake your parents until you get in trouble, then you say, oh, dear Daddy was right.
That's the point that we are talking about this afternoon, Brother Nick. Brother Nick, you're hitting. I see I see your sister here wants to say something.
Which is why the church, it's very important that sex education be taught in the church. So they have an idea of how to control their emotions sexually. And as an agent of socialization along with the home and the school, the church has a pivotal role to play in educating the children, especially from a biblical standpoint, as it relates to having sex. We cannot leave it up to the parents, leave it up to society, leave it up to school. The church, God expects the church to nurture the child coming up, to let them know what sex means in a spiritual standpoint, so they will know how to conduct themselves when those feelings come upon them.
Wonderful, wonderful. I want to move on from this particular question with the foundation already so adequately laid. We can move on, and here's where we're going to move on to the next question. As I go on, it says here, comprehensive sexual education refers to, number one, the human development, including reproduction, puberty, sexual orientation, and gender identity. It also involves relationships, including families, friendships, romantic relationships, and dating. It also refers to personal skills, including communication, negotiation, and decision-making. It also entails sexual behavior, including abstinence and sexuality throughout your life. Sexual health also it involves, and society and the culture. So a comprehensive sex education actually involves, as you said, and I want to also support Brother Nick. I'm not too sure if you understand what Brother Nick was saying, that the life, Brother Heskey was saying, is that the lifestyle of individuals, if not taught in the home and in the church, leave them susceptible when they go out there. So we have to understand and appreciate that comprehensive sexual education involves nurturing and education, not only from the home, but also in the church. Amen?
Yes.
So what do you say about romance?
As it relates to what?
Romance.
Yeah, romance.
Yeah, we're going deep now. We're going deep. We're going deep. We're going into the whole nitty-gritty. We're going into the whole nitty-gritty. What should a single couple Christian's view on romance be?
Well, romance.
Yes.
Romance is good if you love somebody. But the thing with romance, you have to learn to keep your hand off one another till you get married.
No, you can't.
You need to learn to do that. Otherwise, you're going to get in trouble. You see, no matter what we're saying here, let's be realistic.
Yes.
You brought up in the greatest of house and taught the word of God.
Yes.
But you're missing the fundamental. When two people, spirit clicks, when two people, feelings hit, you're in trouble.
We understand. Yes. Yeah, we do understand. I see Brother Lenny wants to strengthen that point. Yes, Brother Lenny?
Mr. Moderator, let us remember too that how long are you going to romance for? For 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, or 6 months? Romance before marriage.
Brother Lenny.
It is very, very important.
Okay.
Brother Lenny.
Okay, hold on there.
Romance,
one at a time.
means the expression of love for the other party, with the other party.
Can we accept that as being a reasonable definition of what we're getting into? Romance, Brother Nicholas, does it hit your perspective on what romance really is? No, we need to be on target here. Tell me about how you view the romance. Is romance just about taking somebody out, or romance is going as far as the expression to the individual of your love and your intent?
That's right.
Yes,
You've just said it.
Okay.
Go on.
It
Go ahead.
extends to the expression, but as Christians, romance should be anything that connects you emotionally without the act of doing anything sexual. That's your view as a Christian. That's how your view of romance should be. So you do anything that connects you emotionally, draws you closer to your partner, excluding any sexual act. That should be the Christian's view of romance.
So let me ask a question, a thought-provoking question here. So should you and can you or ought you be romancing in social distancing?
Yes,
Certainly.
romance can happen in your mind. That's
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
How,
Of course.
Okay. Let's take it a step.
That's a higher level.
When I say social distancing, I'm using social distancing in the context that you're romancing me and expressing to me your love and you remain 6 feet away. Is it okay for me to kiss? Is it okay for me to express in a deep, passionate way that I do love you with a kiss?
There's nothing at all wrong with a kiss.
But then you're
That
going
is
in
my-
some
that is
deep
my way of looking
goals
at it.
right here. Yes.
This is
Okay.
nothing wrong with it. It all depends on how far you want to
Right.
carry the desire for kissing. How far you want to go. Because if you are really in the attribute or the element of romancing, and you and your friend happen to go out of a night, let me say for a little meal or whatsoever, when you reach back home to say good night, what do? Just walk off into the hands at your side? You know where your intention is to really get married at some point of time. That is well known. The fact is established. There's nothing wrong if when I'm leaving you say, well, can I say good night to you? And I give you a smack on your shoulder, a smack on your cheek or where, and I kiss you good night. That's a kiss. That's a kiss.
Okay.
That's a kiss.
Okay, Brother Nick, I see you smiling over there because I think you're going a little deeper than that. Brother Nick, Brother Hetsky, yes, I see that you are shaking your head there. Brother Lenny's viewpoint on this particular aspect of romancing with a kiss is saying something that you would really want to seemingly contradict. Tell me about what you're saying right there.
Well, first of all, who is the aggressor?
Either one can be just as aggressive.
Okay,
No,
Brother Lenny.
wait a
Brother
minute.
Lenny,
Either
Wait
one
a
can just.
minute.
okay, Brother Lenny, let's give Brother Nick,
If
Hetsky
the
a chance.
lady or your companion, your lady companion, as you rightly said, are not grounded, who is the aggressor and the attacker? Because when you take her home and you kiss her on the cheek, your hands start doing things your brain's never told it to do.
Yes.
You start, and next thing, if she's not strong, she's going to fold. It's not an easy thing. We're talking here like it's a thing that one just brushed aside. It's not. When love get hold of you,
Yes.
and you're truly you cannot keep your hand off the person.
So
It's impossible.
So, Brother Nick,
You said that it's in the mind.
It can be. That's
In the
one of
mind,
ways.
okay. But in the mind is idolatry, because you're thinking what you're supposed to be doing with this lady. But I'm saying to you, when you confront that lady, I don't care how strong you are, if you're not grounded in the word, that, sex is prohibited before marriage, you'll walk down that path, you'll do what you've done, and then you'll sit down and say, oh dear. And you start asking the Lord to forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
We must take love like the greatest, it's one of the greatest force in the universe. Mm-hmm. It destroys, it uplifts. But we got to be careful that it's genuine love, and it's just not a passing love, as one would say, infatuation. Otherwise, we're in trouble. But let's not, think, if I take this lady out and I like this lady, what is on my mind? What's in your mind? You want to get closer to her. And if she feels the same, it's a war.
Okay. Sister?
When I say in your mind, I mean a connection like deeper than physical act. That's what I'm talking about. That there are levels to it. That's what I'm talking about, to romance. Mm-hmm. When it gets to that level where you and your partner is so connected that, you can have a conversation that stimulates you. You don't have to touch the person. A conversation can be stimulating. So my point is, romance does not really have to be the touchy and the feely. You can be more connected to a person mentally and emotionally. That's the point I'm trying to make. You don't, as a Christian, your view should not so much focus on romance as kissing and touching, because you have to be careful. As you say, love is very strong. So you have to get to the point where now you tell yourselves, I'm looking for a deeper connection than that of the physical. That's what I'm talking about. It has to surpass, it has to get to, and to me, that's the highest level of connection to me.
Okay.
That's
okay.
the point I'm making.
Yes, Brother Lenny, just allow me just to develop a point here. As we're looking at the whole aspect of romancing, or whether you should be intimate or not be intimate, and I want to piggyback off of something that Brother Heskey said, that if as a Christian we are saying that there are supposed to be boundaries, we are way in the whole discussion on one-night stands with respect to your intimate relationship. As a Christian, remember that we are having a modern-day discussion on the whole aspect of sex and whether or not we are going to be romancing, your dating, etc. But what should we be saying with respect to one-night stands where you said you're taking out someone and immediately you click and you want to, from a simple kiss leads to something else? What are we supposed to be saying from a Christian perspective with respect to how far do we actually go?
If you can't control yourself, don't kiss.
Okay.
Or don't touch. To me personally, if you have self-control and you know how to control yourself, maybe you can venture into that area. But if you know you don't have any self-control, just refrain from kissing and touching.
Okay. Brother Lenny?
I know quite well that we are entering into deep waters here, okay?
Yeah, we're just skimming the surface right now.
Just skimming the surface. But if we are being told, the Bible says, greet one another with a holy kiss. That is greeting. That is greeting. That is only one side of the coin, mark you. What is only one side of the coin? And if in my going out with the lady that I have strong intention for, and we are going out with her, we will tell her mom, well, we are going out down the road here, we're going to buy this thing and come back and so forth. We greet mom and herself with a holy kiss. When we come back now, when mom is there, even telling mommy good night, I should tell in the very same way. greet you and say good night with another holy kiss and say good night. There's nothing absolutely wrong with that.
Brother Lenny.
Okay.
So Leonard,
Okay.
Lenny.
Okay. So Brother Lenny has laid a particular position on the table. Brother Nick, Brother Heskey, I see that you want to respond on something here.
Brother Lenny's quoting from the Bible, rightly so. But
Praise the
that's a
Lord for
different
that,
issue. That's a different issue when you meet somebody and say, and give them a peck. We're talking about flame here. Flame.
Yes.
That's different. It's, that's got nothing to do with the thing. The thing is, like you say, this one night stand. Now, the women, the ladies have, the lady's the one who should control it by saying, listen, it's our first date out. And I cannot let you.
Okay, everyone. Okay, everyone. I know that you're itching right there. Let's give Brother Heskey a chance to develop his point. Yes, Brother Heskey.
Yeah. You know, it lays in the, because at the end of the day, if the woman say no, it's no.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So a man have no station or no stoplight. It's the woman's got to say, hey, you're going too far, stop that. But, if the man respect the woman, he should give the woman time and say, well, it's our first date, I'm taking her. If you truly love her, then you got to show your intention, how you behave to her.
Yes. Okay.
But now, you see, we're coming back to the same thing. If she likes him, they're both inflamed, it's going to be a struggle. She might fight it, and she'll fight it, then he'll persist a little and kiss her on her cheek and on her neck, and and then all of a sudden she starts to shake and tremble, and all of a sudden she's letting go. We got to be very careful, because the connection, the chemistry between both of them is boiling to the pot. And now one of them, and I think it's the lady, should say, enough. I'll see you tonight. Tomorrow, good night.
Okay, great. I'm being alerted that we do have a question from, I think, someone from overseas or someone who is listening.
Yes.
Let's hear what they're saying.
We have a viewer on Zoom.
Yes.
Roxanne Gardner.
Yes.
And it's more like a comment.
Yes.
With a question. It says, the panel seems to have various definitions of the word romance. Is there a neutral definition that would be appropriate for today's modern thinkers? That's
Very
what
good.
she asks.
Yes, and that's, yes. I think the question was, can you repeat it again?
Yes. The panel seems to have various definitions on the word romance. Is there a neutral definition that would be appropriate for today's modern thinkers?
Modern thinkers. And remember, modern thinkers, yeah? Modern thinkers, modern thinkers. You see, and I think I understand where that question is leading to. In the context of romance, we are looking at, this is just not a going out session. No. You are looking at going out, you're going to be expressive, and you're expecting to have a mutual response in your expression. So it is something that you show deep love, you're showing deep commitment to, and also that you're expecting to have a connection that is also physical. And I want us to look at that particular aspect of being romanced. Okay, so there's where I want to put it also. But then you want to say something right there.
I'm bringing something here in black and white, okay? It says here, although acceptance, either party accept each other, originates from within, it must also be demonstrated through actions as well as words.
Okay.
So if each one accepts the other one, that words, it must demonstrate itself in action in some way or the other.
Okay. Okay. And
this is black and white here.
Right. And I think that from a modern perspective, what is that action? What acceptable action is spoken of from a Christian perspective? Because we cannot leave here and say that it's okay just to have an action without us defining the extent of that particular action. Now, I want us to lay something very clearly here. when we're looking at what we are discussing this afternoon, when we're looking at the educational perspective of relationship and sex, it's necessary for us to teach our children that there are boundaries. That there are boundaries. Boundaries in your platonic relationship and boundaries in your romantic relationship. We should have, or we should teach our children the right way in order for you to have a relationship. You cannot, or you should not leave it to your children to educate themselves amongst their peers and feel that that is acceptable education. We should have already taught them the values that Christian individuals ought to have, and with that teaching will come the appropriate action. Do you agree with me in that? Yes. Yeah. So, and so it's necessary for us, when we are talking about romantic relationship, for us to understand and appreciate that, yes, romantic relationships would have a degree of physicality to it, but there are boundaries that we must establish from not only women, but men also.
Yes. That's right. That's right.
All right? So it leads us to the other question. Right in straight it is. It says here, so how can we have an intimate relationship with your partner without being sexually active? Is that possible?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Okay. Brother Nick does not, but Brother Heskey does not think so.
Listen, Brother Lenny.
Yes. Let's allow him a chance to develop that.
It's possible, but one have to be strong in the Lord, and that this flesh, this fleshy feeling has to come under subjection. Otherwise, we're in trouble.
Yes.
You know, we're talking here, okay, we're talking here, but we must realize the thing called love, and okay, love and feeling is two different things. One, feeling can be deceptive. But when you truly love someone, it's hard to take them out, and it's not in your brain.
Yes.
It is hard. You know, in England they said, well, if you're a gentleman, well, I haven't seen one yet. Because when you take them out, you take them dancing, you take them for a drink, you know, after we're both intoxicated and looking one another eyes, we can't even wait to get home. We start rip off one another clothes. That's what I'm saying. But you see, we're talking here. We're brought up in the church, and we're so glad we've got the church as a
buffer.
Right.
A buffer.
You know, but think about the people out there. You know, if we didn't have the church, there'd be mayhem in relationship. But we have a guideline to say, do not go thus far.
Yes.
But when you're in love, that guideline, sometimes you reach to that guideline and have to come back.
Yes.
Because the devil and your passion, which I believe is from the devil, you know, this passion just to devour her. You know, one's got to be careful.
Okay, so Brother Heskey, as I've listened to you then, and we understand what you're speaking about, and members of the congregation, I want you, as I said from the beginning, I want you to appreciate the perspectives of individual. And Brother Heskey is giving a perspective here that is well known to individuals. And remember that we are having a modern day discussion about this. This is a modern day thought that if you're in a relationship, you it is going to at some point be physically expressive. Okay? What should we be saying from that perspective? If that is the notion that's out there, are we called to be separate and apart from the world out there, and for us to have a particular discourse in which we ought to teach our Christian boys and girls our adolescents and youths, etc., that we need to establish, whereas we know that it's real on the outside, that the boundaries and the teaching of the values, especially within the confines of our home, etc., should help in buffering them, in setting up those boundaries where they ought not to go.
Rightly so.
Yes. Brother Lenny? Yeah.
Please remember too,
Yes.
that as a child,
Yes.
our bones grow. Our hair likewise grow. Inwardly, our sexuality also grows.
Yes.
And as we grow with sexuality, one of the major points in a man's development. And according to the question that you asked further on, please be remembered
Yes.
that sexuality contributes towards maturity.
Okay.
Because if you're growing and you're not sexually matured, when you become man, what are you going to be? An anti-one and anti-what?
Okay.
Anti-what?
Okay.
So you must grow with sexuality as a part of your development.
Okay, but Brother Lenny, let me ask the question then.
Please do.
So putting that perspective out there, is it possible then for you to have a relationship with your partner without being sexually active?
Well, it will be difficult. It will be difficult. I'm not saying that you must really go head and tail into it. But as you grow with your partner that you intend to get married to, let your sexuality be a major point or part in your development.
Okay. What caution do you express to the youths of the church who have a problem with their, not only with their sexuality, but the expression within the love relationship?
Well, they must be moderate.
Okay.
And be temperate with that. Go the God's way. Follow the development and ask God to lead you straight along in the development. And God will help you right then and there.
Okay, great.
So what I'm hearing here is that you cannot be intimate with somebody unless you're having engaging in sexual activity.
No,
that's what I'm getting from both of you.
No, I don't.
That's what I'm understanding. That to be. That's what I'm getting from both men, and
yes.
I strongly disagree.
And you're free to, sister, if you want to elaborate.
Because I've watched people in relationships with persons who are paralyzed, and they can't engage in sexual activity, and they have very flourishing relationships.
Yeah, do they have children?
Some of them can't even have children, right? But they have good relationships. So sex is just a part of the whole. Right. Okay, so let's say you start off with somebody and then all of a sudden this can happen and this, Brother Lenny, you reach a certain age, you get in an accident and that can happen. Your wife going to leave you? Don't have a relationship because you can't have sex with the person?
You see? Sister,
no, because
okay.
You're saying that from what I'm getting is that you can't have a intimate relationship without engaging in sexual activity. That's what I'm getting. I don't know if I'm wrong. But as I said to you, intimacy goes deeper than just the physical. Okay, I am a woman, so I don't know if men think with, but women don't really think with that. Women are on another level. We're more emotional. We think more from up here. So I think of intimacy. To me, my intimacy goes further than just that. I can go without that and I'm still very connected to my spouse. Because,
that may be true.
So I think it's male versus female on that.
No. I won't understand it that way.
I'm just saying.
I do understand and appreciate. Remember that I'm going to be pulling back this conversation right back to the question. And the question is, how can you have an intimate relationship with your partner without being sexually active?
Right.
Okay? And I want us to have that discussion in the frame of mind in that question. Right. First and foremost, I can respect diverse views if you say that it is not easy to have a relationship with not being sexually active. I can understand and appreciate that. But as you're saying that I'm very fearful that we do not also want to leave here
Right.
with the notion that is okay because it is difficult. Go ahead and go have sexual relations. You understand? So I want us to be very clear in our communication this
Right.
afternoon that notwithstanding the human aspect of our sexuality, the boundaries, I'm going back to them again, the values and the boundaries that we are taught from our home and from our churches and especially from our parents, etc., should help us with our sexual our relationship, our romantic relationship. Brother Heskey?
Yeah, rightly so. But I would like to just come back to my sister here.
Sure, go ahead.
I mean, what's the word intimate truly means? What does it really mean, the word intimate? Now, I say this to you, and if I met you and I said to you, listen, I do love you,
yes,
but we're just going to have an intimate relationship where we just think about it, and, you know, we don't have to, you know, you're going to say, you what? You might say, oh, well, yeah, it's not, that's all right. But after a couple of years, you're going to say, oh, my husband, you know, you're going to say something. The thing is, the connection with intimate leads you to want to ravish the lady. That's what it does to you. It just don't want you to walk with her and say, oh, I love my wife, we're intimate, and that's all. We just, you know, we don't have to go through that. There's going to come a time when you're going to say, well, I'm intimate, but he does not desire me that way.
Yeah.
We have to be careful. We're talking about passion. You know, when you first met your husband, I'm sure you was enlightened. You was a fuse ready to blow up.
Okay.
When you met him.
Yes.
But if you never had self-control and put him say, well, listen, that's thus that far you go until the ring is on.
Yes, until, I like the point you're raising right there, until the ring is on.
Right.
So are we now establishing, okay, now I think that we are getting to a point right there now. So what you just said, Brother Heskey, is that there is a desire for our sexual expression. I do appreciate that, and I do understand that it will be difficult. But God has given us the blessings of the union of marriage for us to have that intimate, far deeper intimate relationship to this. So we have to accept and appreciate that human beings are physical and they're deeply emotional also. And we have to respect one another. We have to respect one another, that even though that we understand that it's difficult in a romantic relationship, that those boundaries again that we have established should be a help for us in our relationship going forward. We must move on from this particular discussion, and we're going to go right into a deeper form of discussion, and I'm going to ask of you just about 10 seconds, just 10 seconds, as I just take just a 10-second break. The next question is staying with us. I hope and trust that as you listen to the discourse this afternoon, that I know that many of you are feeding your questions, and I hope and trust that we are learning all together in the whole aspect of modern discussions on our sexuality. We have a question. Let's entertain it right now, Brother O'Neill.
Yes. One of our viewers on Zoom asks, her name is Louise, What is your frame of reference when most of our boys/young men learn about sex from our male relatives and friends who teach them from a young age is how they are going to get some from young ladies? Would you like me to repeat that?
Okay, can we say that again?
What is your frame of reference when most of our young boys or men, young men, learn about sex from our male relatives and friends who teach them from a young age? It's how they're going to get some from young ladies.
Yes.
Okay. And get some means sex.
Brother Heskey, you want to dive right onto that?
Yes.
Yes.
We have to be careful. The mothers and fathers have to be careful. Because you see, we must realize that as men, we're hunters. I use that expression. As men, when I was growing up in England, we used to say, it's a thrill for, I live for the thrill and die for the adventure, pursuing ladies. But as you grow older, it's a folly. We have to be careful, because you see, boys goes on the corner and they listen to the older boys, how they talk about, what they do to women and how to get women and so on. But you see, it's a folly. And we need to teach our children not to follow them. Because, as men, none of us here pursue a lady. You pursue her. But it's the lady who catch you. Because if she don't like you, it don't matter what you do. If she likes a tramp in the street, you could do everything you want. Her mind is on that tramp. You'll never get her. So when you hear people say, oh, I went out last night and I caught this, you never caught nothing, she caught you. Because her mind is on you. One have to be careful with your children, your boys. When they go out there and listen, they will listen. Because daddy's not telling them. They will listen. If daddy was to sit down and say, listen, this is what, don't listen to them, this is what. Have respect for women, treat them right.
Yes.
Do not pursue a woman unless your intention is good.
Yes.
I don't want you to come home and say, you have a baby out there, and I say, where's the mom? Oh, I'm not seeing her no more. Yes. That's not very good. And we need to teach them.
Okay. And we need to?
Teach them.
Establish that. Okay. Because from that particular question, it speaks about the frame of reference that the boys have, that it seems as though that ladies are objects. That they are looked at as something to be pursued. It's a target to be scored rather than an individual to respect and to be respected. And hence the reason why I love that question. What is the frame of reference? If you don't have a true frame of reference in order to teach them, then they're going to be taught someplace else. And their education is going to be leading them to think as the ladies, as an object to be pursued. But if again we are teaching them, if the frame of reference is put into its right context, then I believe that they are going to look at ladies in a particular way to be respected. Anybody would want to support that point?
If the parents are not well taught themselves, they cannot teach the child. And if they cannot teach the child got to go out and get the knowledge outside of the house, outside of the home.
Yes.
That is a fact well established. So it is quite necessary for the parents, both father and mother, to be well grounded in all the aspects of child development.
Great stuff. Anybody else would want to say something on that?
Frame of reference.
Yes.
Maybe your own personal experiences, and you can go back to the good old Bible and what God expects. So that should be a frame of reference for me.
Thank you so much. So I hope that answers the question, that the right frame of reference is supposed to help individuals to govern themselves in the appropriate way. Now, this particular question, I took a break because this particular question is a hot one, and I just wanted to ensure that our panelists here are quite in tune with this particular one. So let's go straight on into it. As a single person who is about to get married and has never had sex and is afraid of his or her performance, can porn be used as a means of education?
No.
No.
Should not.
Again, I'm reading it. I'm going to state it again one more time so that we can have a discussion about it. As a single person who is about to get married and has never had sex and is afraid of his or her performance, can porn be used as a means of education?
We should not. Oh, sorry.
No.
I'm coming to Brother Nick.
No, I don't agree with that at all. Because once you take up that porn, it's hard to put it down. And I don't think that when two people get married who have never engaged, there's no shame in no performance, because the both of them performance are the same. The same performance.
Yeah.
They've never had it, they don't know.
Yeah, the inexperience.
You know, and you should not get married to a person because you think that their performance is going to be good. Because when you get let down, it's a problem. One shouldn't know. That's no good. That's no good. When you get married, it's because the connection between both of you is hot. And once that's hot, you'll attack one another day and night. You know, we talk, okay, married people, I don't know, but I am married. And when I met my wife, I couldn't keep my hands off her. It's impossible.
Impossible.
It's impossible.
And we're talking about your wife, right? Your wife, right?
Yes.
Yes, your wife.
It's impossible. Because you're inflamed, your love is there. You know, sometimes the wives will say, oh, bloody hell, I'm tired. Well, I'm not. You know, why are we laughing? You know, I mean, do you understand what I'm saying, though? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yes, I do.
When you first married, now, after years of married, you know, you cool down.
Yes.
But when you first married and when you love her, it's just natural.
Yes.
You know, it's just natural to you know, every minute. What are you doing, Dad? Oh, I'm in bed, leave me alone. You know,
Yeah, but Brother Heskey, but you're married there. But we're talking about an unmarried couple who thinks that their confidence to live up to a good performance is low. So they think that looking at porn is a means of education.
Okay.
No.
And we want to make sure that we lay this bedrock down very firm.
No.
Brother Lenny, or we'll come back to you. Yeah, brother.
Watching porn is a false perception of what sex actually is. Because first of all, it's kind of like a fantasy world. It's however they do it. The men probably got steroids or something. And they cut how many scenes, so you look at that and you feel, oh, he's great, she's great, and you don't know what is going on there. So now you're judging yourself according to what? Something that is unreal. And when you can't live up to that, that might create problems within your marriage. That's right. So it's a false perception, a false image of what? And plus, with porn, there is no connection there. There's no connection, so it's just they're doing the act. And if that's what you expect to get out of your marriage when you do that, well, something is wrong, because it's more than that. That's just dry and that's just, I don't know. That's my perception.
Okay, that's
it's a
right.
false perception of what
great.
Should
Brother Lenny?
When we think of the Bible says, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. That's a command that God has given to you. You should not go the mechanical way of learning from other people's doing for you to learn that and do it. That is satanic. You must contrive and get your own inspiration from either medical help or whatsoever, and go your own way with your wife that the Lord has given to you. Don't depend upon no website, this and that, and all kinds of for help.
And plus,
it is not the best way.
Fair enough, Brother Lenny.
Plus,
Yes.
Performance varies. So you might think you're great one time, and then for what other factors, one time it might be great, another time it might not. So you can't judge. It's based on the food that you eat and your emotional state and all that. So Just seeing somebody doing that maybe for maybe half an hour, you can't use that as a judge because
No
it's not, it has to do with consistency. It's inconsistent. You're not going to always get a great performance, and then so we have to learn from that.
And the thing is with that as well, you will get hooked on porn. And before you and your husband or your wife make love, you'll start put on porn to give you the drive and give him the drive before you. No, that's a no-go. The love you have for him and the feeling you have for him, that is good enough. If you go out that box, then you're going to say to your husband, oh, he takes pills. Why don't you get some? He's going to say the same to you. Do not expect that you look at a man and you think, well, you're going to have great sex. That's not marriage. Marriage, you have said it, is more than that, in a sense that your husband is your husband. You know, you loved him, and because he can't perform now, the love's gone, so you never married him because of him. You married him because of the performance. You have to be careful. So I would say porn's got to go. I've never seen those things. I don't believe in those things. I don't believe man and woman was created to behave in them foolish way to be behaving with.
In Jesus' name. And Brother Heskey, I think you laid the foundation in a right way. And again, we're looking at the question as a form of education.
No,
you see,
shouldn't be
and
there.
This is, you see, as a form of education. And when you're looking to get married, you're being united in a way that is deeper within just the physical act. You understand? So we got to understand that if you want to be educated, and even if you're inexperienced, and as you said, nothing beats the experience or nothing beats the education of learning together those things that the couple may not have known excite them, but at the same time, learning from the wife who might express that she likes this form of expression this particular way, she loves to be romanced, etc. That is the best way to learn. We have a question right there, yes?
Yes, a question from Eldine. He says, Adam and Eve did not know what to do with their first sexual experience. My question is, who taught them?
Adam and Eve did not know what to do with their first sexual experience. Who taught them?
Yes.
Oh, who taught them? And that's a very simple one. Yes, brother?
Brother, the Lord did not make anybody, husband and wife, except He gave them the ability for them to know how to do it.
Of course.
Adam and Eve was born with that knowledge. From the time God made Adam and Eve came forth from Adam, the knowledge was already there.
That is right.
They didn't have to go to know the person.
And there's no other need for them for education, Brother Lenny. So what you're actually saying is that God teach them how to protect her. That's so true.
Right.
That's so true. Great stuff. Great stuff. Great stuff. You think that question was? Hot? Let's go on to the next question. How can you advise a single person who may be curious about their partner's genitals before they're married? Lord help us. And that is, they are wondering if their partner may be able to satisfy them sexually. I'm wondering if you understand the question. You want me to read it again?
Yes.
Yeah, let's read it again. It says here, how would you advise a single person who may be curious about their partner's genitals before marriage, and that is wondering if the partner may be able to satisfy them sexually? What do you say about this particular question here?
Well, as for me, what you get, you keep. You know, I mean, this question, I could understand why they're asking that question. But when I fall in love, I never fall in love and think that my wife could go all night. That you don't do that. You love the person. And you for start, sexual relationship develops as you married, as you go through your life. It's not something that, you say, well, some people say, well, I'm going to try him out before I'm married. No. When you have a baby, it's just nowadays, when you have a baby that you can go to the doctors and he'll tell you this a male or female before. Before time, what you got, you kept. We understand? So yes. Therefore, you shouldn't, when you marry or you're getting married or you're falling in love, you shouldn't be thinking that, I wonder, is your sex habit and the drive of sex is so high that you're thinking, even before you're married, can he satisfy me? You don't think of that. That comes natural. And if you love him, the mere thought you're satisfied.
Yes, Brother Heskey, I love the question, but I'm not too sure if this question was really addressing the sex drive. It's really addressing the genitalia of the individual, whether or not they are what they call in modern day language, if they're packing. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And I think that there is where the question is actually going. And from a modern day context, they are asking the question whether or not there should be some measure of surveillance to see whether or not that package is satisfying. Right. Okay, I want to put it in the truest sense, in the truest sense, so that we can have the more
Brother Leonard,
yes.
Like I've said before, now, which man is going to say to a woman, or a woman's going to accept that he's met a gentleman, they're in love, but the gentleman wants to see, and she wants to see how the length, the size, the size, you've said it, the size don't make no difference if you're in love.
Okay.
It doesn't make no damn difference.
Yes. Brother Len is itching to get in here, but I want to hear a lady's perspective. Yes, let's look for the lady's perspective, Sister Marisha.
If you're good friends, maybe if you talk, trust could be one of the first thing. If you can talk about it, the person can say whatever. Trust could be one. Or if you're not down with trust, both of you can go to a doctor and find out if the person is able to perform.
Okay, that's one.
That's one, and trust.
Trust is another?
Yes, that's my advice. If you've never done it and you have questions, both of you, and you know you're going to get married, both of you can take yourselves and go to the doctor if you want some kind of professional opinion.
That's good.
Or you trust the person that you're with. If the person says, or maybe you can kiss the person and do something and see what's going on.
Okay.
Kiss or try to do something and see
Sister
what
Marisha,
goes on there.
Sister Marisha,
I don't know.
Brother Lenny, I'm coming to you right now. Do you realize that it is apparent that this particular question is more a lady's question?
Yeah.
It's more a lady's question because what they're speaking of is a degree of curiosity. Is a degree of curiosity, and it seems as though that the curiosity within the lady to want to see whether or not it is applicable suggests to me that the lady has a particular mental, how should I say, description of what is likely to be satisfying to her. Now, are we supposed to be saying that you're going into a relationship understanding that you're going to love your partner in spite of and despite of, and that you are going to ask your husband to be, I need to see your private because I want to make sure that it can satisfy me? I don't think that is the real basis on which love and the satisfaction and love should be based on, okay? However, yes, Brother Lenny, however, we do appreciate that in the modern relationship, this apparently matters. So I want us to have an informed discussion about what is it that we are saying to individuals that can seemingly inform them that it's not about the size of what you have. You understand? When we're talking about a relationship, we are talking about a relationship that embodies the whole you. The physical, the mental, the spiritual, everything, the emotional aspect that will satisfy you. And ladies, if you're asking this particular question, that you need to see, or you need to observe, or you need to be assured that someone's genitalia is right for you, then I think that your relationship will be premised on something that's false.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
don't fool yourself, you know.
Brother Lenny?
Women have a way of knowing things before it happens, right? Women are very observant.
Nothing is wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong in being observant.
Yeah.
And in my estimation, there's no set way to say, yes, they saw it that time or that time. What I would really say now is that the secret things belong it unto God.
But you're going to be a wife
When
too?
the first time comes for an experimenter to act, it will reveal itself then and there. Don't go in the preamble of knowing the days before that you saw and you begin to feel and you believe. Leave that to God. If perchance you get to know or to see or to become a little understanding that how it looks there on the shirt and pant, leave that out. When the time comes for the honeymoon, that will prove itself.
Yes, but Brother Lenny,
yes,
maybe when the honeymoon time comes.
It's too late?
Yeah, so what are you going to do then?
Well, no, the Lord will provide.
No, what I'm saying, no, I'm talking about, I'm not talking about weight and length and size. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the ability to perform.
No.
I'm talking about the ability to
satisfy.
Not satisfy. Because some of them can't even reach that stage there. Suppose the person is impotent, you don't know that. So I am saying you don't know, because if you're in a relationship that you're not having sexual activity, how are you going to be sure that the person is not impotent, is able to at least get an erection, to at least even give you a child? That's what I'm talking about. I am not talking about the simple, little trivial things as size and so, because size doesn't have anything to do with it. I'm talking about the ability. If you're going to want children in a marriage and you're not having those type of relations before, you don't know if the man has the ability to stand up, as they say, get an erection. How are you? I'm going to advise the person. Try to do something to see if its work is going, or you go to the doctor to find out and get. That's my advice to the person.
Yeah, I would
not
like
to be foolish and go in, and then when you finish, nothing is happening. No, that is my advice. And
you know, sister, sister, I really think that you're onto something here. I'm wondering if you're understanding Sister Marisha's point of view. Oh, there's a question on the floor. We're going to entertain that question right now.
My question is, in our modern day now, where you have persons who are transgender, looking everything like a woman or like a man, what do you do about a situation like that? Because I am understanding that really and truly, you should not be investigating whether or not the person's genitalia is whatever, but I'm saying that in this post-modern age, what do you do?
And that is a reasonable question to ask. Yeah, and this is why I'm saying that Sister Marisha's question and answer, we are onto something here, that from the context of what Sister Claudine has just asked and what Sister Marisha is saying, that there has to be some measure of approach to that particular situation where we should deem it necessary to find an answer. To find an answer. And pardon me for saying this, because you're living in a world where ladies today or gentlemen can change their sexual orientation into something totally different. And how are they to be assured that if you are a lady and you are having the physical attributes of a lady, how are we supposed to be assured that that is so? It's the real difficult question of a modern day.
I think there is some situation where you just have to leave to God. I mean, name me how many men or women here who met their husband says, I want a view. I want a view of your private part. You know, this is to me, that's Satan work. You know, you want to see a view. You know, you should know when you start dating a gentleman, you could tell if he's up to stead or not. You can tell. I mean, I understand what you said, because right now the sperm bank is very weak on men. And right now it's, you know, it's like you say, to get a reaction.
No, but Brother Heskey, but before we entertain this question, it's a real problem here, you know.
Yes.
And I don't think that to tell our viewers just to leave it to God is really meeting this at the grade this afternoon. When I just mentioned to you that there are operations that you can take to change your sex, and you take hormone therapy to make you look as a woman, you can understand and appreciate that those individuals and those young men today might see a girl who they think should be a girl not being a girl. And I'm saying here we ought to have a real discussion about that particular issue, and so advise.
Yes, I
and
understand.
So advise. Yes, no, we have a question on here before I take Brother Fillmore.
Question from Stormy Allen. On YouTube.
Yes.
She asks, or she or he, what about the male? How is the male supposed to know if the lady doesn't have a hostile uterus or anything like that? Wouldn't that be the same for the male? How would he know until it's too late?
You see, and there goes the same there goes the same point that I'm trying to raise. I'm going to take Brother Fillmore.
Good afternoon. I believe the modern sexuality should be based upon the Word of God.
Okay.
That's right.
The one with the transgender situation, the Bible tells us, be ye not unequally yoked with unbelievers. You will believe that believers who trust God will be right in the way that they are to go. So you will know. But if you go outside of what God said and try to get somebody else, you don't know about their way of living, their way of life. But if we base on modern sexuality, brethren,
yes,
and the Word of God, we cannot go wrong. God doesn't change.
Okay.
Yes.
God do not change, sister and brothers. The Word of God stands forever. Jesus is the rock on which we stand. And once we allow the Word of God to guide us, we will not go wrong. Another thing, Adam and Eve, when they were married at first, they grow together, they learn from each other the way of sexuality. We today should be saying to our children, yes, there will be temptation. Outside, they will have friends wanting to do this and that the way that
Can
the
you use the
world
mic,
is
brother?
doing it.
Can you use the mic?
As a Christian,
Can you use the mic? Come a little
but
closer.
as a Christian, we have a way that we have to show to the world. And that is the way of God. That when we get married, that is the time that we get into deep sexual thing. And this thing about, I think I hear some other panelists say that it can be temperate. It's yes or no with God.
That's right.
When you're married, there is way. Yes, you can go out with the one that you love and, you know, learn the way of the other person and the person learn about you. And if you come to the situation that you realize, hey, that's not going to work out, you split it. But you must give and take in every relationship. No one of us are perfect. But we can get there by growing together, loving each other. When I started with my wife, Dana, it wasn't perfect. But we learned the way to go forward, and we have done it for so many years. And by the grace of God, we can go on. To the young people, trust God. and let God be the foundation on which your relationship stands. And you may have problems, but yes, Jesus is the problem solver, brothers and sisters.
Brother Fillmore, so in conclusion to that particular question, where there is a difficulty with the younger folks wanting to find out the sexual orientation, you're saying that one of the ways to prevent us from falling into that trap is for us to not be unequally yoked. And that's what you're saying.
If you follow the way of God, because brother, if you're in church, you know a brother over there, a sister, this family or that family having somebody. You go to another church, you have somebody there who truly believes in God. You don't believe that they will lead you astray? No. Because when you're founded upon God, upon the word of God, brothers and sisters, but we will allow God to make our God. Mistake will come.
Mm-hmm.
It will come. Because some of our youth, they see somebody outside and they believe they are perfect more than the one in church. But there is where the problem comes in. You might see someone and that might be a transgender person. But in church, we can trust each other for the relationship, brother.
Leave it to God.
But, okay, brother, and that's a very valid point you're raising. Josie, you want to ask a question, right? I'm coming to you right now. But we're also dealing with, we're also dealing with a particular type of reality. Because here's the question, brother Fillmore, that you can have a transgender individual coming to know God.
Yes.
And you might not necessarily know.
But brother,
you see,
if
so
that transgender person come to know Jesus and the Lord of person that saved that person will be upright with you and let you know straight up, I'm a transgender person.
Okay.
You will not have to wonder because you're.
Okay.
It will let you know.
Okay.
Person, knowing God will let you know I'm a transgender person. So.
Yes.
You will know.
Yes. Okay.
Brother, I
okay,
don't believe God will allow a person who truly believes in Him.
Yes. To be led astray.
No.
Fair enough. And I respect
Put your
that.
trust in God. God said the step of a righteous man are ordered by God.
Okay.
Fair enough. I thank you so much.
Leonard?
Yes, yes, sister. I would allow Sister Josiane, who is asking a question right now. Oh, I beg pardon? Oh, she's going through with our protocol. Yes.
I also have a point to make.
Yes, sure.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yes.
Well, statement under, I think it's the uterus part.
Yes.
They were speaking about. For me, I think male and female, both, if you're going to be married, you have a responsibility to check yourself before you go into a marriage. So go to the doctor to get the required tests before you go into a marriage, right? That's my point on that part.
Yeah.
My next point, the transgender point. For us here in the, well, let me say Antigua, let me not say Caribbean. Here in Antigua, it may not seem like an issue because we may not have transgenders in our church. But around the world, we have transgenders who are Seventh-day Adventists. And it is going to be a problem eventually.
Yes.
My thing is, if you are speaking with an individual for an amount of time, leading up to marriage, the communication, the love that you have, the trust that you have, you are supposed to be open enough to say, okay, I was born male, but now I am female. Are you going to accept me? That is a conversation. Once you,
yes.
That's to me, once you started to build a relationship with someone, the openness should come because you would not want to hide anything. And honestly, I think you yourself investigation, because where your baby pictures at, let me have a conversation with your mother and your father.
Yes.
And I think oftentimes a lot of people go into relationships blindly. Oh, he's handsome. Oh, I love him. And not really ask the hard questions when you're going into a relationship. So that's just my take.
And Sister Josiane, let me applaud your forthrightness, because what you have just basically said, you're basically harmonized with Brother Fillmore in the context of what we call trustworthiness. But at the same time that you are harmonizing with what Sister Marisha said, that in today's context, the youths today should pursue a doctor's investigation,
Right.
and that's what you're saying?
But
Yeah,
can
go
I
ahead.
ask a question?
Sure.
Pertaining to what
Brother Fillmore?
Brother Fillmore said.
Yes.
Is it wrong, though? I know as Christians we're supposed to go with God's direction, but is it a crime or is it wrong, even if you would have developed a relationship or would have want to marry somebody that's a Seventh-day Adventist or is a Christian? Would it be wrong if you decide, okay, you're going to just take that step and find out from the doctor, or would it be wrong?
No, no, it would not be wrong at all.
I just want to know.
Great
And
stuff.
Brother Leonard.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, brother.
About this trans
Gender.
woman thing.
Yes,
Man,
we deal with
woman.
transgenders and the whole
I
discussion
can't-
and the question
Brother
about
Leonard,
transgender.
Brother Leonard,
Yes.
please. I cannot say no chance this.
Okay.
You were created by God
Yes.
as a man.
Okay.
And now you're telling me you want to throw it in God's face because you feel you're a girl. Feeling is deceptible. Feeling leads people to do the wrong thing.
Yes.
You could, in the eyes of God, it don't matter how many times you change, you are a man in the eyes of God.
That's
And
right.
because this world has entertained that Satan issue about saying it's all right, it's not all right.
Yes.
I remember once, if you don't mind me saying, I used to sing in a band and we went to London. And when we got there, a friend of mine from Nevis said, that gentleman over there is a man-woman. Well, I didn't know what he on about. Man-woman. I was saying, how can a man be a woman and a woman be a man? And next thing I know, this guy come out, went into the room with this guy, just as a woman, come out and going, it's a man, it's a man. I said, what do you mean it's a man? It's a man dressed up as a woman, I'm going to kill him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But because the world has entertained these things, this thing now is all over the globe.
Yeah.
You are a man. So when you're telling me you're transgender, what you trying? You change your gender to suit yourself. So what happened to the one that God gave you? So you've put that aside and you take them. And it's a folly. And because we all entertain it, it's proliferating all around the world. We should not entertain that. No man coming to me. Now get me wrong, don't get me wrong. I will not persecute these people.
Right.
They chose to be.
And
but
it's
don't
necessary
tell
for you
me
to say
you're
that.
no woman. Because I'm going to tell you, no, we carry the same thing.
Right.
But you've had yours removed.
Right. But Brother Heskey, I thank you so much because you, what you're saying there, I understand and appreciate from your perspective. And I'm happy that you're placed within here that we are not talking about them in a way that they are not children to be saved by Jesus also. And we are actually having the discussion on the premise that what are the modern day youths to be should do when faced with these particular situations. And it's a real question because these things are present day. And we have to treat it as present as it really is. And to say to them that, you know, and I love Brother Fillmore and Sister Josian's point that trust is going to have to be an underlying factor here. And you hope and trust that as you have that level of conversation that you can dispel the negativity and the rumors about what it is. But at the same time, if you don't have someone who is that forthright, I do believe that what Sister Marisha says, that we're living in an age where our curiosity should lead us to the right place. If you want to have a doctor examine, I really don't have a problem with that for me. It's the very same way that individuals will look at STDs, whether or not you're contracting a disease. And this is just the modern day discourse that we as a church should have informatively to guide the decision making of our youth. Brother, then you want to say something right there?
I think what's been said, because I will probably go over and say something that should not be said. See?
Okay,
So.
true. Okay, now, we're getting into some deeper waters. If time permits me, we're getting into some deeper waters now. Let's go straight on into it. According to research, masturbation has released sexual tension, reduced stress, improves sleep, and relieves menstrual cramps and tensions. It was also mentioned that it is very important for individuals to be familiar with their body in every aspect. With that being said, should a single Christian engage in masturbation? Kindly explain.
No. I don't believe in that at all. Masturbation is a form of the work of the devil. When you inject in your mind a vision of a beautiful woman, then close your eyes and you can see her there and you're masturbating, that is against God.
Okay.
You know, but like you say, these new age modern things say is okay. What does the Bible say about masturbation? It's a no-go. We shouldn't be doing it. But because, I mean, a lot of men are not married. A lot of men don't have a lady. And that's the problem. When you look at some of the men you see on the street are not married, they're going to lead to that. But I don't think masturbation have a place in the world. People shouldn't be teaching it. We should be telling our children that it's not right. I've heard men says, well, they do that. They put a naked picture in front of them and they have a good time. Well, my mind ain't that good to do that. It just can't, you know. But some people do it. That is a sin.
Okay. Thanks so much, Brother Heskey. Brother Lenny?
You see, this body that God gives us, you see, it is fearful and wonderfully made. What about when you're sleeping overnight and you have a dream and it ends up in the very same masturbatory reactions? What do you do?
No, Brother Lenny.
No. It's only a
Okay.
question.
Okay.
No, it's only a question.
Guys,
It's only
allow
a
it to build
question.
this point.
You can go into masturbation by willfully practicing it, by seeing pictures and so forth, and enhancing yourself and talk to in your own self what you are imagining. That could be one. But if you're sleeping and in your sound sleep, you have a dream. We all do have dreams. And sometimes our dreams come true. When we do have dreams, what are we going to do? What can you do when you have a dream that you're there with, with a lady that you have been thinking about yesterday or last year and so forth? What do you tell the Lord? Take it out of my mind? Tell me what do you think about that?
Okay, as a sister?
I think that's a dream. That's a
dream.
That's
but
different
it
than a
ends up in the very same actions of masturbation.
Yeah, but maybe I think the context is you actually getting in the frame of mind where you put yourself in that position at a dream.
To release tension, according to what the question.
Yeah, but when you're dreaming,
Okay, guys, okay, Brother Lenny, Brother Lenny, you have to allow her to develop her point.
No,
please.
I want to finish.
Okay.
The question is to release tension and to give you a good night's sleep. If your tension was not released and you want a night, what do? You can't tell the Lord he was wrong.
Okay, Brother Lenny, thank you so much. Sister Andrea, you want to make a point? Okay, before Sister Andrea is coming, Sister, maybe she want to make a point? Yeah?
I'm saying, but Brother Lenny, that's a bit different. But with the masturbation, you have to be careful. You're not married as yet. And when you get used to pleasing yourself that way, when you get into the marriage, you might get addicted to that. And then you might have a wife there, and maybe she can't please you more than you please yourself with the masturbation, and then what's going to happen? So you have to be careful. And you might have a wife doing that. Next thing the wife catch you doing that, big problem in the marriage. So you have to try to be careful of the things that you do. So in my perspective, you keep away from the masturbation.
Okay, great stuff. Sister Andrea and Sister Andrea?
Okay, good afternoon.
Yes. Can you raise the mic, please? Yes?
We're trying to, everything should be based on the Word of God, right? Now, we're speaking about masturbation. What does the Bible say about it? Does the Bible say anything about masturbation?
Yes.
Where? I need to know because I'm not aware. Right? I think masturbation in itself, I think the sin comes in when you are thinking about somebody. Or you may see somebody. But what about if you as an individual, the feeling come and you masturbate? It's not that I'm lusting over anybody or anything.
So we need to get a clearer understanding because we don't want to send wrong signal. Don't tell me if it's wrong, if it's not biblical. This is my thing. So if you could clear it up for me. Afterwards, and I can get weights taken from, I'd like to have it. Thank you.
Right.
Can I say this?
Yeah, sure.
When she said when feeling comes. Now, you cannot masturbate unless you have a vision of someone who is pleasing to you in your mind to masturbate.
Okay.
It cannot work. To Brother Lenny, masturbation in your dreams is not masturbation.
No, it's not.
No.
Masturbation is an act. When you're dreaming, you do things that which is not in your control. And it happens. Or you find sometimes you think about a woman too much that when you sleep, you dream about her. And that's a form of sin. Because if you look at someone and in your mind you're telling yourself you're having sex, it's a sin. So masturbation is a no-go.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and find where a scene, I think it's in Leviticus where one of them ways talk about masturbation.
Okay, great stuff. And Brother Heskey, I think that this question catapults into the next question, which I'm going to just tie it all together. No, because and Sister Andrew, don't leave because it's one and the same thing. And you're going to hear it asked here. Therefore, if we are talking about from a singles perspective about masturbation, should married couples engage in couples masturbation? And this is taken, and we're getting into some deeper waters in the context of the marriage and the marriage union now, as you know, from this perspective. So we have to, and I want to attack it from an informed perspective, and let's have a mature conversation about the reality of what is asking of us here this afternoon. Okay? So as we discuss that, we also want to know from a couple's perspective, is this okay to do? Sister Andrea, see that you want to ask a question right there. This is the next question that was asked.
Okay, I want to ask Brother Heskey something.
Very good.
Because we are all made with sexual feelings.
Indeed.
And you can have a sexual feelings without looking at somebody or something, because this is how we're made. You just didn't feel the mood come to you. Come on, we're all humans here. It happens. In a marriage, I would not get up with my husband. It all depends on somebody else's marriage. They may want to do that. But I wouldn't want to take my husband there masturbating like that. No. We're there and we can do everything for one another, right? But I'm saying, you have feelings. We all have feelings. You can be walking down the road and the feeling comes because we're human. That is how we're made up.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Right? So again, tell me where I can find it so I can learn. Thank you.
Yeah, and Brother Heskey has given us the okay that he will give us the text where that can be learned. But what I should say in Brother Heskey's defense, however, is that God speaks about the purity of thoughts. And he says that whatsoever things are pure, that you ought to think on these things. Yeah? And so we have to be very careful, because you yourself made mention of that you have to be very careful that these particular acts become habits that are dangerous to the unions of your marriage. But at the same time, we have to also be very careful that we are going to be speaking about the thou shalt nots in the union of a marriage, because I do believe that God says that marriage is sacred and the bed is undefiled. And if a husband and wife wants to please themselves, that's a husband and wife then decision, you know. But at the same time, we have to be very mindful from developing those habits that are not in harmony with Christ. Brother Lenny, you want to say something?
I think you're right on the right path. You're on the right path, right there now. What happens when a husband or wife leave the shores of the country, either one, and you are left there in your bed of a night? Should not your thoughts be there where your wife is, within imagination? The next day you're not going to call and say, look man, I was thinking about you last night, or so forth. He may say the same thing, she may say the same thing. They're married, mark you. But distance made the difference. Whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are pure, think on these things. Think, Mark, think on these things. Is your wife away, your husband away? Right. You can't stop your thoughts from going where she is, her thoughts are coming where you are.
That's right.
We are human beings, Mark, you know. We are fearful and wonderfully made. We cannot jump the gun and say, no, it's a sin to think about her. Or she may say, well, it's a sin for me to think about him. And tell them the next day, last night or yesterday or whatever. Nothing is absolutely wrong with that.
However, Brother Lenny, we want to make sure that we make a distinction that from
the marriage, between the marriage couple and the unmarried.
And those individuals who are single, who are harboring those thoughts.
That's the point.
And the Bible warns. Yes, Brother Nick, Brother Heskey.
You were just saying husband and wife and couple.
Husband and wives. It's husband and wives.
Just husband and wife. Yeah. Masturbation.
Yeah, should married couples. That's what the question is.
Married couples should
engage in couples. Yeah. In other words, they are being physical one with the other in their act of lovemaking. And that's what the question is all about.
Well, that's kink. That's kinkiness. If you're going to tell me, I'm going to tell my wife, masturbate for me to watch her when I'm there to do the act. No, I'd feel funny. Okay. If I married a woman and she said that to me, I'd be thinking, something's wrong right here. I've met a kleptomaniac or, you know, something. When I'm there and I'm the one, no. And there's no way a woman's going to tell me, married or not, to masturbate.
No, I don't think that's the question. And the question says, should married couples engage in couples masturbation?
Okay.
In other words, it's an act of lovemaking. It's an act of expression that you're sharing together. Yeah, And that's what you mean from the question, yeah? And vice versa, yeah. So it's a couple's thing within a marriage union. Right.
You and your wife alone?
Yes.
No, well, even so, Brother Lenny, I'd find that funny.
Okay, I respect that thought. I respect that thought. As equal as Brother Lenny has his viewpoint on that from a different perspective. Sister, you want to say something on that?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But as long as it's within the marriage, the confines of the marriage.
From a marriage perspective. Right. From a marriage perspective, whatsoever the husband and wife
whatever
decide to do, that's between them.
When you say that anything one could conjure up in their mind to perform with the wife, so long they're married, it's okay.
No, we're not saying that. No, we're not saying that. We're not saying that at all. Your question is actually asking whether or not we're supposed to harbor illicit thoughts of somebody else while we are copulating with our spouse. I don't think that's appropriate. Usually from a Christian perspective. However, if in the act of foreplay, etc., and we're having a mature conversation here, and this mature conversation is from a perspective that we're looking at Christians, non-Christians, and from young married couples' perspective, from a modern day context. That's where we're looking at it from. So I want us to be very careful how we pronounce certain things as wrong in the context of a marriage union. You know, that's where I was a little bit more patient with that discourse. But Brother Heskey, using your platform right there, you mentioned about the aspect of kinkiness.
Definitely.
Yeah. So is it right for a Christian couple, or should a married person enhance their physical appearance to entice their spouse sexually, such as the changing of the color of their hair or the cutting of their hair, or possibly getting a breast implant, or as the case may be? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on that, I don't really have a thought in it, because my wife is well endowed.
Wonderful.
So I don't have no thought on that.
Wonderful.
And I don't see my wife have to color her hair to get me aroused. She might have to put on some different underwears. Maybe that, but I don't think no breasts. She's well endowed, and I don't think about hair.
And Brother Heskey, I hear that point of view. Brother Lenny, sister, you would want to then. We're having some mature conversations this afternoon, okay? So I'm thankful for your patience and in conducting yourself admirably so far.
I have read one of Ellen G. White's books, which says, well, as a Christian, we should not be the first to go into any style. Neither should we be the last to come out of any style. If there's a style going around where the ladies cut their hair short, if it pleases them, I don't think, well, they're following the style. If it's not a worldly style, then a worldly one which the church would really question, I would have question about that one. But are we come to that one? But if Ellen G. White said we should not be the first to go into any style, neither should we be the last. We should not be have the ladies say they as old maids and so forth with funny hairdo and so forth. Neither should the men stay there with a funny long jacket and a long pointed this and so forth. We should really follow this style and look properly dressed, look properly attired. But not really the worldly way, but be careful of the style here. But we should not be the first to go in and be the last to come out.
And Brother Lenny, thank you so much for that point. Sister, you want to make a point, or I can just sum up this particular question because of time. But this particular question has really catapulted us into really other deeper waters. But so that we don't necessarily have to repeat the same questions over and over. A lot of the questions that are being asked here concerning things such as, is it right for a couple to enjoy different sexual positions and whether or not you would want to involve yourself in oral sex, etc. Very deep questions. What I would say to you from a married bed perspective, that whatever you do within the confines of your room as a husband and wife, so let it be between you and God. You understand? Let it be between you and God. This is something that I know that from modern day context would always be the discussion. But we should have the discussion about the union of marriage being of such where husbands and wives involve in loving relationship that both of them can feel very pleased and satisfied at. You do not want to be involved within a love relationship where there are stipulations and boundaries to your love expression unless there is an understanding between both husband and wife. You understand? But if a husband and wife want to have a mature discussion between themselves and they want to express themselves in such a way between them, let that be between themselves and the Lord. And if it is wrong, I believe that the Lord will so instruct them to do. So whether or not you want to involve in changing of different positions, or you want to involve in views on oral sex, etc., from a marriage perspective, from a husband and wife perspective, that is something between a husband and wife that we really would not want to go in a dumb shot.
Brother Leonard,
yes,
what you have just said is rightly so.
Yeah.
But there is certain things that if my wife brought it to me and she would get upset.
Okay.
No woman is telling me about no oral sex. And I wouldn't put it to my wife. If that's, no. If you like that, that's your problem. But no woman, I'm not into them sort of things. That is perversion. God never gave you a mouth. Okay, the body of a woman should be caressed. But when you're going to these things, and you're going to say modern,
yeah.
Well, I'd rather be in the days of my grandfather and my daddy. When you know.
Thank
because
you so much.
To me, that's perversion that's entering on uncharted water. When a wife's going to say, oh, it's all right, darling, the whole world is doing it. Look, no, I don't care about the whole world. I care about me.
Okay.
You know.
And thank you so much, Brother
I don't
Heskey.
see why a man should do that.
And thank you so much, Brother Heskey. Now, the signal has been given for us to wrap up. And I just want us to hit on the last question. And this last question should be embodying all of our conversation. It says here, a review of a random conversation on Facebook made it clear that young people prefer to have sex outside the bounds of marriage rather than inside. How can you convince young people that sex within marriage is just as favorable or better than the sex outside of marriage? How can we convince them? I'm going to leave on this particular point, and I know that many of us can leave on that point of information. Brother Lenny?
You see, there are so many of us, young people, old people alike. They feel enchanted when they make love or have sex outside of marriage. They go with a rage, they go with a temperament that they also realize that they're stealing. They're stealing, and nothing at all is sweeter to people instead of stealing, and they get what they want when they're stealing. Okay? So when they really go before marriage, it brings on a kind of a joy. But when you're married now and you come under the yoke of bondage, where you're tied down with your husband or tied down your wife, the freedom gone. You have to stick with that one day until you die, according to what the Bible admonishes us to do. So therefore, they feel better when they go and they tamper on the Lord under Satan's ground before marriage. To them, they get the excitement that they want, and they get more out of that time than when they actually become married.
Thank you so much. But and in a minute per individuals, brother.
Yeah, what Brother Lenny said there is so true. We, as young children, of young women and men, you have to be careful. You have to be careful when you couple with one another in sex before marriage. Because A, you're taking part of their soul, part of their spirit. When you get, that's when God said you become one. When you have sex, that's what you're really doing.
Yes.
You're becoming one. But then when you split, why do you think you're so upset? Why do you think you can't sleep? You know, you miss her. Because what? You became one, now it's hard to separate. Mm-hmm. So one have to be careful. I would say I didn't do it. I waited 30 odd years. But I would say from what I know now, walking with God is safe to let the Lord lead you.
That's right.
If you love the person, before you eat the cherry, you get and put the ring on. Yes. And keep loving her. And the cherry will taste sweeter as the years goes by.
In Jesus'
So, you know, we
name.
got to be careful. The young, you see, women has got a stigma that one, I find it hard to understand. Because they label, if a man goes with 1,000 women, or he's a playboy. But if a woman goes with 1,000 men, she's a harlot. Mm-hmm. Yet both of them are wrong. But the stigma is more on the woman. And A, the woman is the one who's taking home the bundle. The men don't take home the bundle. The woman have to go home to her mommy and explain why. The man don't even go with her and say, well, it's my fault. So I would say, you know, get married. I think one should get married.
That's
I didn't
right.
do it, but if I was to talk to young people, I would say get married. And one have to be careful too. Because
Yes.
sometimes you get married, Brother Lenny,
Yeah.
because she looks
10
good.
seconds.
She looks good.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
The
And
time is
then
over.
when you've had your way, nah, you want to get divorced. It wasn't like what I thought.
Yeah.
You have to be
stuff.
careful.
Great stuff, Sister Marisha.
I'll just say to be the difference,
Yeah.
be that role model, set that precedence for the younger generation, be that person that your peers and younger generation would look up to. Marriage, having sex in marriage is not worse than having sex outside. At least to me, in my opinion, it's much better because the marriage bed is undefiled and it's blessed by God.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And in closing, my brothers and my sisters, those who are online, let me leave you with these words. In the beginning, when Christ created this world, he created a world in which he says it was good, created perfect. He created a union between a man and a woman that was also perfect. And if the perfection of God is what it is, then we are supposed to be adhering to the perfect standards ordained by God. But we're so enshrined in a world today where the sexual perversions of the devil has turned the perfection of God into something totally unwarranted. And we got to understand that what we are living today and the reasons why these questions are being asked is because of the perversion of what God says. So we understand that there is a right way and there is a wrong way. As we leave you this afternoon, leave with the assurance that if you put God first, follow his precepts, abide according to his standards, maintaining the values of thus said the Lord, will not fall into the problems of the world. I want to leave you today knowing and understanding that marriage is a sacred thing. God created it. It was created perfect. For you young people today, make sure that you follow after the precepts ordained by God, and you will not go wrong in your choosing. I want to thank you all so much for your patience and for your involvement. Those individuals who are here, those individuals who came from afar, even from St. John's, those individuals who are logged on via our World Wide Web. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, we are logging out from the Old Road AY program. Thank you so much.
Afternoon's program. I know we had a wonderful time. The discussion was very, very interesting, and I know sex is somewhat of a difficult topic to talk about, especially within our church. So thank you to the panelists for taking up the challenge. You guys did an excellent job, and I think we should give them a round of applause. We really did enjoy today's panel discussion. And also to Brother Leonard Josiah, you're an excellent host. So thank you as well too, and to the individuals who supported us. Thank you, and those who are online as well, thank you for viewing. And also we would like for you to continue to support the AY department. We will be having another big production coming up, and that will be on the 13th of February, next month, week after next. The rumor mill, and it promises to be great, so we're looking forward for your continued support. Again, thank you to everyone. And at this time, we'll just ask Brother Lenny to close out with prayer for us, please. Thank you.
Let's all stand.
Dear God, again, we give you thanks to know that we have assembled here for a purpose. Dear Lord, as we're about to leave this hallowed spot, may we, dear Lord, as sincere followers of thine, follow your admonitions, dear Lord, in life continually. Carry us, Father, this night to various destinations, and bring us again here with thy will, dear Lord. We can hear more of your prepared portions, dear Lord, we ask. Bless continually this church and these young people, dear Lord, that we have here. Hear us and answer our prayers, we ask, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.